So here we are on the most recent version of our In Conversation podcast, a podcast by Inhomoko where we talk to so many wonderful people who are part of our larger community. I'm here today with Honorable Minister Angelina Teny, the Minister of the Interior of South Sudan. South Sudan is a country where Inhomoko launched in 2022 under a tremendous partnership with your ministry and with the government of South Sudan. And I'm not going to pick favorites on this podcast, but I absolutely love the work and the partnership that we have in South Sudan and the tremendous impact that we're already making even after a short period of time. Honorable Minister, thank you so much for talking with us today. It is an absolute pleasure for you to be here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, and it's also my pleasure to be here. It's good to see also where you're operating from. I've seen your work at home in the Republic of South Sudan, and I'm kind of impressed because the premises here is basically is a testimony of what you people do.
Well, thank you. So I'm going to start off with a story. When we go into countries, and South Sudan was our fourth country that we opened in. And we always go on a scoping visit where we meet with entrepreneurs, young people, women, we meet with government partners, other private sector. And the first time that I went to Juba on a scoping trip, within 3 hours, I decided that we need to open an office here. Because I was so inspired by the young entrepreneurs I met with in the city. They had such a sparkle in their eye. They had such commitment to being innovative and creating opportunities, jobs for other people in their communities. And I said, we haven't talked to anyone else, but this is a place where we need to go. And you get to see these entrepreneurs every day. Are you inspired when you drive down the streets and see this innovation? Do you have that same energy that I saw when I was just there?
Definitely. Every day you see people who come from the worst places, and they pick up and they turn their lives around, and they turn other people's lives around with them. And this is encouraging, and this actually tells me that there's a future, despite the challenges of life. South Sudan has been receiving a lot of refugees. We have a lot of detainees. The crisis in Sudan, and we have this open door policy whereby whatever, if you're forced to leave your home for whatever reason, South Sudan is home, and we open it with whatever little we have, we share it. Whether it's a school, we share it. Whether it's a health service, we share it, and so on. So that gives real encouragement when you see people, utilizing whatever little opportunity they get.
So you spoke of the open door policy of South Sudan, but not every government has an open door policy to people who've been forcibly displaced in the region. Why is an open door policy important to you?
It is important because if you just our contemporary history as a country, we emerged from war. We emerged as a result of a long, protracted war. You would find maybe 80% of our population at some stage have been a refugee, I included. So we see ourselves because so many times we've been forced to leave, forceful displacement happens.
Yeah.
So how can you close your door to somebody who's running for their lives, and so on. So it is important for us, simply because we come from that kind of history background. We went to places, we were given opportunities, and we made it, and we came back home, and home now is an independent country. So why not give the same opportunity to others?
Yeah. That's part of the inspiration that I saw when I was in Juba the first time. I met a young South Sudanese woman who had been trained in Turkey in running a pharmacy. She's a pharmacist. And she said, this is the place that I want. I want to run my business because there's such a need, and I can contribute to the development of my home. And I thought that was such a welcoming attitude, not just for an outside organization like us, but for the opportunities that people saw at home. As you look at South Sudan, where do you see the sparks of innovation in young people?
It's another promising story as well, because the country is so young, and the potential is there. The potential is there, and all we need is to just turn that potential around, and that is why we also appreciate an organization like your organization in Comco giving opportunities to young people, to women especially, and these sections in society are usually the ones who suffer most, and so on. So job opportunity for a young person is a real contribution for ensuring the future, and so on. So I'm very, very optimistic. Yeah.
Optimism feels good and does good. Yeah. So we have people listening to our podcast who are our clients. So these are both refugees, people who have been internally displaced, but as important are host community businesses. And in places where there's real integration, we see such market opportunities for business growth and development. How do you see sort of the integration between the host communities and refugees, and what opportunities are there for those?
When refugees come into any community in South Sudan, usually they're welcome. They're welcome. You find refugees now have been provided land by communities, not even government, to cultivate, to do business, to do and so on. So most of the initiative that you will find happening, the host community is in one way or another very generous, contributing and welcoming and enabling the newcomers, whether they're returnees, because we have to remember we have a lot of South Sudanese who continue to be in Sudan.
Yeah.
And now when crisis broke out in Sudan, they're returning, a home that they have never seen.
Yeah.
People who were born there in Sudan, so they're just in the same situation as the refugees who are coming. So our communities have really, I don't know what to say, whatever little they have within their community, they're willing to share. And they see you as a person when you come.
Yeah.
They don't see you as a refugee. And this is very important. I think it should be a lesson to those who have.
Yeah.
And usually close their doors.
Yeah.
Not only close their doors, maybe not even intentionally. Just turn the other way.
Right.
There's something you can always do to support a child to go to school.
Yeah.
To support a woman to deliver in safety. To support a community to have clean water, and so on. So whoever supports in common to create this business it's not really business class, but entrepreneurs within a refugee setting and within the host communities and returnees. It's a good thing to do.
You know, what we want to do, I think, as good partners with you and with others is to showcase opportunities for more partners to enter these markets. And what we really believe is that when private sector invests, when other business leaders see displaced communities not just as places in need of charity, but as markets with ripe opportunities to be invested in, then we can start to even see more development happen. So for partners out there or prospective partners who are listening, what are some of the things that you could say to encourage them to join us all? Because South Sudan really is ripe with opportunities for new projects and new investments, I think.
Yeah. There are a lot that one can say, but just before I left Juba, I went to the refugee camp just outside of Juba, in Gorom, and there were lots and lots of youth, young people, full of energy, and there were women with babies. There were also older men, and so on. So you name it, it was there. Now, I was telling them that, look, having been forced to leave, you've lost everything that you have built all your lives. And you're coming here now and you're in a camp. I want you to think of this as a new beginning. For those of you who were business people, entrepreneurs, just think of it like, you went bankrupt for whatever reason, and then, you pick up again.
Yeah.
So I'm saying the refugees are people, intelligent people, with dreams, with hopes, and with families, who can contribute to changing not only their lives, and not only the communities that are within, but you never know where the next Einstein will come from. Could come from a refugee.
Could come from Gorom.
Yeah, could come from Gorom. So I say we look at them as people with everything we have. Yeah. If, for example, you're a boss, CEO of MasterCard, you're a person with dreams. Yeah. Same as this refugee. All they need is an opportunity. Yeah. You hold the key to that opportunity. Give it. It might not only change their life, it might change your life. You're the person who gave the key.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I was reading the other day that there are over 10,000 books written about entrepreneurship. And I think the characteristics of what makes a good entrepreneur it's been well studied. But what's so glaring in these books is that we are missing, I think, showcasing some of the world's best entrepreneurs. When you're forced to flee and you have to rebuild in a community that you have never known, the characteristics that you have, that of being resourceful, being resilient, finding networks within this new place that are of mutual benefit, seeing opportunities where others might not. Like, these are the characteristics of what makes a world-class entrepreneur. And we have, unfortunately, 50 million people in Africa who've been forcibly displaced. Those are 50 million solutions. They're 50 million problem solvers. And I think once we start to understand the power of the dreams, the hopes, but also the innovations, then I think we can really, really unlock so many more so many more opportunities. But one thing that, in the region, in East Africa and on the continent, one of the things that restricts refugees are closed policies, but also some systematic barriers. And one of the pledges that the government of South Sudan made at the Global Refugee Forum was a promise to avail identification cards for refugees. Why was that important? Why was that an important pledge?
It is because simply is protection. The responsibility of any government to a refugee that flees and comes to your country is to provide protection. And that protection means a number of things. One is to make sure that this person exists. For you to exist, you must be registered somewhere. Because in our continent today, somebody can be born and until they die, if you ask somebody except their family, they never existed. Because they don't form part of the statistics or the data or what have you. So you ensure that such persons are registered. They are known by the name, where they come from, so on and so forth. The next is to provide them with an ID. And this ID opens a number of doors. For example, for you to go and open a bank account, you need something to identify you. For you to, these days wherever you go, even if you're just visiting an office like your office here, and I want to come and see you, who are you? May I see your ID? So like that. So ID becomes synonymous to the person. Yeah, this is number 2. Number 3, we also wanted these IDs to be readable, machine-wise, so that you also enable movements of people. Because being a refugee should not condemn you for you to be staying in the camp there or wherever within that country that you are in. You may have an opportunity to go for education elsewhere. So you will need something, a travel document, and so on. So this is the policy of protection, and this is what I was going to come to here. And the support that we got from Incomoco here, it really, really is critical. Because you might look at this idea of protection as not, an ID, you might just think of it as a machine, an ID. It's more than an ID. It's the security of that person. It's also the opportunity for that person. If for example, you decided as Incomoco to choose that person to be one of your entrepreneurs that you're going to support, they need this ID for them to go and open their bank account, because you need their bank account for you to also understand their growth and that they are actually utilizing the money properly, and that this money can be returned also to go help somebody else, and so on. So this is why it is important. It's an important project, and we made that pledge, and we're really grateful for Incomoco for supporting this. We're going to include it as part of our civil registry, which will help us to know exactly how many people. We count them in our national strategic plans. So we're not going to put them aside. We're going to count them like people who live in South Sudan, and whatever service we have, they should be entitled to.
When we started our work, we knew that entrepreneurs needed capacity building, right? They needed to know how to do bookkeeping. They needed access to finance. But it was only recently that I understood the power of an ID. And it was through, working with you and the MOU that we have together that really solidified that protection mechanism.
By the way, it also decreases the possibility of one becoming stateless, which is a phenomenon that is usually faced by displaced and so on. Even like some of our South Sudanese people who have just returned home, they have no ID.
Yeah.
You could actually, you could class them as typical stateless persons until we register them. We give them, they have a number, they have a name.
Yeah.
Now they exist, you see.
Yeah, that's an incredibly important point. So, when I was growing up, I said two things to my parents. One, I was never going to be a doctor. And two, I was never going to be an entrepreneur. And when we started in Homoko 13 years ago, I sort of broke that that idea, and the spirit of entrepreneurship was found in me that I didn't think existed. Did you ever want to be an entrepreneur?
I still dream of it.
Okay.
I want to make money. I want to make money. I just don't have the time. I just don't have.
But do you have ideas?
I have a lot of ideas. I always lend them to people.
Please lend them to me.
Yeah, and I feel very happy. Sometimes some of them carry these ideas on, and I see them, you know, very alive.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that was my idea.
Yeah. Is there an idea that we knew that like is so famous that you created that the world would know? Yeah.
Nah.
Okay.
I'd rather not say.
Okay. There's still time.
Yeah, no, but you know, it's somebody else's project now.
Yeah.
So, protection.
There we go. There we go. It's not easy. I have so much respect for people who just create something out of nothing. They start this business from an idea. They're doing the work. I mean, we have people here listening to this or watching this who are from Goram, from Juba, from Mangala, from Maban. What advice, as a secret entrepreneur who you are, what advice do you have for them to grow their business?
Yeah. Yes. Now, when Homoko give you or allow you an access to some funding for your business idea, yeah, the first thing is you must develop a business plan. Even if it's just half a page. This is my business plan. If you can't read or write, get your son who can read and write, or your daughter who can read and write, or a neighbor. Tell them that I have a business idea and it's like this, and please put it as a plan. So that's the first paper in your file. So you have a file.
Yeah.
Right. Now, then you do a forecast. You know, how is this business going to work? What do you expect? What the kind of profits and what have you? But you won't do this until you do a little bit of a market research.
There we go.
So you go do a little bit of market research here and there, whether you want to be a tea lady, see how many people would really be coming to your tea place, you identify the place and what have you, and so on. So that's number 2. Number 3, and most important, give yourself a salary. So business is not for you to eat. Business is for you to provide.
Yeah.
So, and once it is a business, it's no longer private. It becomes public, which means there's an accountability.
Yeah.
So if you give yourself a salary, let's say, okay, this is my profit, this was my capital, I need to pay it back. So every month, if this is my income, my profit, this will be what I'm going to use for my sustenance. I'm going to take this little bit to return the capital. I'm going to put this little bit in saving for developing the business further, and so on. So,
in addition to you almost being a great entrepreneur, you could be a great business advisor. You could be a great business consultant.
Yeah. But remember, if you, of course, you know, if you have money there, a little bit of money put away for the business, because you must have an idea that this business is going to grow at this phase, for example, which means out of my profit, I'm going to put this back into the business so that it grows, like every 3 months or 6 months. Yeah. But if you're unable to, for some reasons you have crisis, you want to take from this money.
Yeah.
Please borrow it.
Yeah.
And return it.
Yeah.
From your own salary.
No, that's important to know where you're getting your money from to make sure that you repay.
Yeah.
You repay it for the future. So, just in a couple more questions, because you've just done a phenomenal job of giving advice to the business owners who are listening. As an organization who's relatively new to the South Sudan market, but one that has tremendous ambitions for growth, what advice do you have for Nhomoko in order to be successful and impactful?
You know, the same advice that I just gave to the business person, it works for even big businesses. I think so far you have taken the right steps, because you started by supporting the protection aspects, which is very good. Now you have a good client base that is there. You're working very closely with the Refugee Commission, UNHCR, and so on. So the work in the community is very important. That you're looking at the host community as much as you're looking also at the refugee and so on. So I would encourage that the sharing between the host and because you also don't want the host community to remain where they are.
Yeah.
You've seen them in South Sudan. They're just as in much need as and so on. But I encourage focus on women and youth. Because if you give youth job opportunity, we're a very youthful country. About over 70% of my country are 30 years and under. But also the majority are unemployed. So you will ensure success and sustainability by dealing with those youth and so on. But the way to do it is also constant training, reminders, training, follow up, and encourage sharing. Encourage sharing. If you have 10 women who have started a business and they're doing well, through them you can reach another 100. So just to be in touch with your clients, follow them, even if they become as big as Nestle.
Well,
and make sure they give back. That will give you sustainability. And it's important, this giving back, because you're depending on donors.
Right.
So you also have to show that we're also able to contribute through the people we supported.
For sure. Well, Honorable Minister, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your partnership.
Because we were talking about inspiration. And today I'm in Rwanda. And I really want to say this from the bottom of my heart. And when I say this, I speak on behalf of a number of South Sudanese. We get a lot of inspiration from this country. Rwanda has made it, and Rwanda is a typical example of getting up from the ghetto and being the best. So it's not only about one person. It can be about a country and how you steer things. If you have a vision, And with that vision, you have the courage to live out the vision. So I and many of my colleagues and my people, we whenever things are very tough, we say, look at Rwanda. You know, we will make it.
Thank you for sharing that. When we went on our very first trip as a team to Juba, we met with so many people. And many of your South Sudanese colleagues in the community, they said, you're an organization from Rwanda. We're so happy to have you here, because when we have INGOs or big organizations coming from the West, they come in here and they lecture us. But being an organization that was born in Rwanda, we know that you understand, and you are here to offer dignity, to be in partnership, true partnership. And so that's something that we take very, very seriously, and also with a lot of passion for this work and a lot of purpose. So thank you for calling out our home, and we also feel very privileged to learn from the best. So on that note, unless there are other questions you would like to ask me, because we can turn the table.
I forgive you.
Okay.
No, that's fine.
But on the one final thing. What I love is the idea of what sort of the rest of the world can learn from our countries. What's the best thing that the rest of the world can learn from South Sudan?
Resilient. You've seen them.
Yeah.
The people of South Sudan are so resilient. And they're so patient. And that's very, very rare. You know, and I think it's something that others can look at and say, look, they're not all that bad if they can be resilient to this extent.
Thank you for that. Thank you for our partnership. We have big dreams of our partnership together going forward. I hope that we can have you back on our podcast in a couple of years now. We'll be talking about hundreds of thousands of jobs created, hundreds of thousands of people impacted. That is my commitment to you, but that might be a little ambitious for the timeline, but I'm learning from you. You're an ambitious woman and very, very inspiring also to me. So thank you so much.
Inshallah. Thank you very much for having me, and thank you for actually offering this opportunity. And then maybe if I met you those days, maybe I would have been an entrepreneur, not a politician. But you know, nothing's lost. There are other people who are getting the opportunity now, and we feel blessed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.